Between YouTube, Facebook, and the millions of other websites, the internet is a vast ocean of information, but that online culture is constantly being deleted. The average lifespan of a web page is only 100 days. But now, a group of American researchers are trying to change that. They're developing an internet time machine, something they call Memento, to preserve our internet history. Michael Nelson is part of that team. He's a computer science professor at Old Dominion University in Virginia. He joins us now from Washington. Good to have you here.
Thank you, Seamus.
This is a really daunting task. How do you save all these web pages?
Well, it's important to remember that it's not just our team. We're working with a vast community of librarians and archivists, computer scientists who are interested in saving the web. And what we're really working on is there's something called the Internet Archive that you may have heard of. It's sort of the biggest, it was the first archive that was focused on saving the web. And they're one of the main players in this landscape of trying to preserve the web, preserve the internet. But in the last few years, there have been an explosion, if you will, of additional archives. We have access to perhaps a dozen different web archives that what we're trying to do in the Memento project is really provide a mechanism to search across the various archives, to link them together.
Gotcha.
And not make an archive a special place that you go to visit the past web, but actually connect the past web with the current web and make it a continuum of time and make it part of your everyday browsing experience.
Why is it important to preserve these web pages?
Well, I think this is a very important aspect. So much of our cultural discourse, our cultural artifact, are encoded in web pages. And conventional media formats, we do a pretty good job of preserving them, books and newspapers and so forth. But web pages, we actually do a very bad or very ad hoc job of preserving those. Some pages persist, the lucky pages are preserved, but actually we lose a great deal of our content. And so much of our cultural discourse is just disappearing from the record.
I think you said earlier,
it's
too,
actually controlled.
Sorry, but like a great example would be, we look back at all those smoking ads in the 1950s, and of course, it tells us a lot about the culture at the time, and maybe today, we're going through a fad of six-pack abs and stuff, and a plethora of ads there, and a lot of them are web-based, and they're, once they're gone, what will we have to preserve to say, hey, look what they were into in 2011?
That's right. There's kind of this phenomena that an ad from a couple of years ago is not interesting, but an ad from 20, 50 years ago actually encodes more of the social mores of the time than the actual content that is carried itself. And in some sense, it's worth preserving all of the material.
And we mentioned earlier, too, what about, things that, even for a few weeks, they seem to dominate the culture, whether it be piano-playing cats or some such things on YouTube sensations. Are you interested in saving those?
Well, so it's easy to point at sort of specific examples and say, well, that's not really important. But the truth is, we actually do a very bad job of predicting what will be important in the
very
future.
True.
So, and in some sense, maybe we don't have to save it all, but we should try and save most of it, save what we can, because it's hard to predict what will be important, what will the scholars of the future want to look at that we have now, and perhaps lolcats is something that we should be preserving.
No, well, if 24 million people want to see a piano-playing cat, then I think culturally something's going on, and who are we to judge it right now? Thank you very much. Good to talk to you.
Thank you.
Coming up on Canada AM and